Alright, today we are working on the Chrysler. This is not a Chrysler. This is a Cadillac. I did this car a while ago when I did the outlet, the coolant outlet, and we had to remove the intake. Today, the water pump's leaking, and I'm not going to go through any diagnosis of that. We're just simply going to tear right on into this. It's pretty obvious that the water pump's leaking because there's a lot of coolant at the bottom down there, and we'll see that shortly. All right, you gotta bear with me. I gotta get my tools together. I'm using a flathead, obviously, to work off the intake tube, and I'm gonna take that off. Take this off the breather, and I'm just gonna disconnect it right here at the air box because I don't need that much room. Sit that up there, and we can't see anything because this lighting sucks. I'm trying to get more space so you can see exactly what I'm doing, but it's unnecessary to take off the heater hose up top here. I'm simply just going to use a 1/2-inch drive to remove the tensioner. Look like a 10mm to run these bolts off with a pulley, and then I can access the bolts in the back to remove the water pump. And you can, if you look down in there, I don't know if you can see the marks here where the trail of fluid will build up behind the water pump there. So even though we replaced the outlet pipe, the gaskets, we replaced the gaskets at the top here a while ago. Now it's just time to replace the water pump. No big deal, man, no big deal. I'm trying to do this, get a little leverage. Nope. It don't take much. I bet you. There we go. So I got the tensioner loose, and like I said, I am changing the belt here. If you want to look at how the belt is looped, goes around the alternator down there, over the water pump, around the power steering pump, around the AC compressor, back down, over the harmonic balancer, and inside the tensioner there. Our issue. So I got a couple options. I know I was supposed to leave the belt on there and break these bolts loose, but I'm just gonna wedge something in one of these little holes here, and that'll allow me to break these bolts loose. I could get my impact gun down there, it's small enough. That's the route we take. See why GoPros are important. Man, you get in really tight places. And again, I wouldn't have mind taking the throttle body off to have more room, but I don't think that's completely necessary. Try to make this as simple as possible. I mean, I'm on this plastic here and they keep moving. Let's see what we got. Here's the back of our pulley. See all the water, coolant, corrosion. So I got a Murray brand water pump. Came from my favorite place, obviously. I'll try to get this old coolant off the best I can, but I can't make no promises. I might have to use some, what do they call that stuff? Purple power. So the pulley's off, and it ain't been but 5 minutes. The labor time on this is supposed to be an hour and 1.8 hours. And I'm pretty sure that's all because of draining coolant. And probably a replacement of thermostat, who knows. So it's another 10 millimeter. These bolts on the bottom, they're gonna come off. I'm gonna use a 12 point like I did because I was in need of space. So I got a 10 millimeter. I'm gonna drop these surrounding bolts. It look like everything's just gonna be a 10. Just gonna loosen all these up. Just get it to drain. Look like there's a metal gasket back here. That came off real easy. So I got my pan down there. Here we go. It's going right in the pan. I'm gonna let it do its thing. Let's get a little closer. So while I was doing that, I'm just gonna run these bolts off. They weren't on tight at all. So we got, I want to say 5 bolts out. Should be able to come out. I think I'm missing one. Am I? Yep. So it's 6 total. 6 10 millimeter bolts holding this in place. Water pump. So we have a metal gasket here. Now, I'm pretty sure it varies from person to person if they decide to reuse these or not. Honestly, I don't blame a person for reusing these because these are a lot better than the composite gaskets that come with the aftermarket. All right, I got my water pump sealed up here. I'm using gray glue. I just simply massaged it in there with the old gasket after I cleaned everything off. Now, this Murray water pump do come with new bolts. I'm just using everything for the exception of the gasket because of the composite gasket. I personally just don't like it. I don't like them. They're just dumb. I wish they came with a standard gasket here, but this will work better than the composite, even by itself. Let me see if I can remember how to put this thing in there. I think that bottom one go down here. I think this is. So yeah, we're gonna put the bottom one in here. Trying to get this in here without making a mess. Oh gosh, all the bolts fell out my pocket. And despite a little bit of fluid leaking, the sealant works very well with fluids, and which is why I prefer to use the gray glue over the black glue. I'm just going to get them started and let it sit for a minute, then run them all the way through there. And like I said, I just massaged the RTV sealant with the gasket to make sure it adhered to it pretty well. And I can promise you this water pump's going to go out well before this gasket starts leaking. These are 10mm bolts also. I'm just going to go in a cross pattern. Took the liberty of going ahead and cleaning the crud from the inside with brake cleaner. So that's cleaned up, and I'm gonna hit it again with some brake cleaner on the outside of it in case the antifreeze contaminated the mating surface where the belt rides. Because if you don't know, if there's oil contamination on the pulley and you got a belt on there, despite it being new, you will have belt noise. Alright, the car's done, the water pump is replaced, the belt's replaced, and it is running like normal. So I tried to get it, the coolant that was leaking, trickling out in front of the timing cover housing. I will try to get it clean as possible. Took some brake cleaner and some rags and went around it. So hopefully it definitely look a lot better than before. So I think we're fine with that. This was a very simple replacement, 10mm, took care of everything, and a flathead. That was it. And a 1/2-inch drive to be able to remove the tensioner. So it took me 40 minutes to do. Not bad at all. Let's take a look at this water pump. If you can, this magnet will stay put. There we go. So here's the water pump. It seemed like everything was leaking through what the weep hole down here. Let's see if I can get it to show. Looked like a weep hole down here. Unless it was leaking from the bearing, the seal probably went out. That's what it really started looking like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The seal went out. I think that's the weep hole right there, if I recall. It's got a couple of holes on here. No, that's not a weep hole. There you go. There's the weep hole right there. But it wasn't leaking through there. And the water pump sits like this in the vehicle, so it should have been leaking down, and it wasn't. And so the bearing just went out, and it was leaking through there, the seal. No big deal. I mean, we got a new one. We saw the obvious play in it. What the hell? What the hell? I thought somebody was shooting, boy. Put that thing out on him. Anyway, but it's fixed. It's done. The pulley's done. The coolant. I don't know if I told you. So if you look on the right side of the motor, the left side of the motor on the driver's side, there's where you would add the coolant. So you have the strut tower right there on the left hand side, so that's where you would put it. Other than that, I think I said it, the job it's supposed to take up 1.8 hours. It took only 40 minutes to do. Not that bad, very simple, especially if you have the right tools in hand. Didn't require a lot of work, a lot of stuff that need to come off. It is what it is. Other than that, if this car has anything else, I will definitely update, and we will go through the repair together. Other than that, man, hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, have that reassurance on work, and see you on the next one.